3000.
What is doing? I hate doing it, but I want everyone to like, subscribe, follow us on our Instagram, hit the subscribe button right there. One click, it's totally free. It helps the channel grow. Share the content, comment, do all that good stuff. Help us keep bringing you 3000 podcast. Now to the guest. Cheers. What is doing? My name's Malone. This is the 3000 podcast. I'm joined today by a coach, an author, an interesting individual. Bo Kitty, thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I appreciate you taking the time. You've come from the deep north, but it is a nice little drive, isn't it?
Very relaxing, and it's a beautiful day today. And yeah, no, it was enjoyable coming down here.
So we're going to talk about your book, obviously. We're going to talk about all your different career. You've got your finger in a few pies.
To say the least, yes.
So we'll get into all of that stuff, but I'm gauging by your accent and the research I've done, you weren't born here in the beautiful AUS.
No, I was born in San Francisco, California, to hippie parents, and then came to Australia when I was about 8.
Yep.
So I'm definitely Aussie, but my accent is fucked.
It really is that formative sort of 5 or 6 years that you talk from the age of 2 or whatever.
Yes.
It really does form your accent forever, doesn't it?
It does, because it's who you're listening to. It's everything you're taking in and forming your opinion of those words. And I think also because I had one Aussie parent, one American parent, it was reinforced in the home later. And so now, and what's funny now is we just talked about our friend Eric, and he's American. And so whenever I get around Americans, I turn more American. Suddenly, like the Valley Girl comes out. And then when I'm on an Aussie work site with a bunch of tradies, the "How you going" comes out, and yeah, it just like changes depending on who I'm around.
It's environmental for sure. You
Yeah.
can spend I could spend a couple of weeks in the US and you pick up a little bit of, and also it helps because sometimes they're like, what are you saying? So you have to say it with the American accent.
Totally.
Going through the drive-through in the US and talking like me is like, they're like, sorry, sir?
Yeah.
What? You want a what? Like,
You got to point at the menu. You got to get out and point at the menu. I love it.
So when you say you had one American parent and one Australian parent, which was the male or female?
My mother was Australian from Adelaide, and then my father was Californian. But yeah, that is like actually a really complicated story, which is why I wrote a book.
Okay, right.
Because
so from the early ages, it was complicated.
No, I didn't know it was complicated till I was 38.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what's in the book. There was a family secret that came out at 38 that completely changed my life, completely changed my world, and I wasn't the person that I thought I was, actually. So I don't know how many spoilers to give away, but basically I'm not American. I'm actually half Italian.
Oh.
And I never knew.
I can see that now.
I look Italian.
Yeah.
I look freaking Italian. And everyone else in my family is blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
sure.
there was some sketchy goings on there. And yeah, that's about all the spoiler I want to give, because the rest of that story is the reason why I wrote this book.
Wow. There you go. My grandmother, she didn't find out until she was in her late 40s that her name wasn't even her name. Her dad wasn't even her dad. And her birth certificate was, So
lies.
It does happen.
So same. And we are a group called NPEs, not parent expecteds.
Wow. I didn't know about
there's
this.
a global group of people.
Right.
Thousands of people. Most of them are older than me because by the time, I was conceived in 79 or whatever, there was like free love and there was a bit more conversation about all of that. But the older generation, very much taboo to have a child out of wedlock. Yeah. And then what's interesting is like I'm about the youngest there will ever be, because now there's DNA testing that costs $40. And now it's like, you can find out who the baby daddy is really, really, really simply and easily. Yep. But back in those days. So yeah, the NPEs are globally worldwide. Some of them are literally like their dad is actually the guy down the road. Their siblings are here. And what's interesting is that from sharing my story on social media before I published, like I've shared a lot of this vulnerably on social media. Yep. So many people come up to me with this family taboo story that is somewhat similar. Yeah. There is so much taboo in families that is never spoken of, never talked about. There is a lot of people with half siblings around, and this veneer of shame and, you know, how society does stuff. It prevents a lot of beautiful things happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories out there of people that were brought up and it was actually their auntie that they thought was their mum and all that sort of stuff.
Totally.
That happens a lot. Or
Yes.
even people's grandparents that they think that's their parent, but it's actually their grandparent.
Yes.
There's a lot of this sort of stuff.
Yes.
But as society becomes more accepting to non-traditional family units,
Yep.
hopefully that happens less and less.
Totally. And I think the more, and so I'm a big believer in the sharing of these taboo topics. I feel like those things that we're supposed to not talk about, they're actually the things we really need to talk about to move forward as a society.
Yep.
And so for years on the internet, like way before social media, I was really prolific on street art forums and music forums and stuff in the early 2000s. And even then I was talking about trauma, abuse, women's empowerment, like ethics of graffiti, of, you know, the politics of everything in the underground and all this kind of stuff. And it kind of got me a reputation for being unafraid to say that stuff.
Yeah.
And so then when my life blew up, it was like, oh, well, just got another chapter here. Here we go. Like, I have an audience. This is what's going on for me, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been ultimately liberating. But to share these things means that I do have to hold a lot of space for other people to share with me.
Yeah.
So whenever I put something vulnerable about any of this stuff on the internet, there is 2 days, sometimes 3, of me holding space for other people to bring their trauma, their family issues, generational stuff to me for holding, for listening. You know?
Which puts a lot of weight on your shoulders.
It does, but like also being a coach about it, like I'm not a trauma coach, but I'm a trauma-informed business coach. And so, yeah, I just hold a lot of space for people.
For sure. So when you came to Australia in those early years, both parents came or is it just...
No, one came, then one came later. We came to look after my grandparents who were both dying of cancer in Adelaide. And we kind of got stuck here in Australia, you know, and then I got kicked out at 16 and I was living in Adelaide and then...
Your parents kicked you out?
Parents kicked me out.
Were you being a troubled teenager?
They kicked me out for 2 reasons. Number one was I went to Adelaide Uni at 16 to do a Bachelor of Arts and dropped out.
Right.
And they said you can't live at home unless you're at uni.
So you'd finished high school though?
Finished high school.
Wow.
2 years earlier, like skipped 2 years. One because of the America-Australia moment and then one later because I was... not because I was too smart. It was just sort of like the age thing didn't work. And anyway, so I finished high school at 16. I was at uni at 16. Wow. And I ended up just at the uni bar drinking beer every day going, I fucking hate this. This is not the education that I saw in the movies where you can ask questions and whatever. And so I dropped out. So one reason was that I dropped out of uni. And the second reason was I had a weed plant that was about this tall on the roof. And this is actually in the first chapter of the book. But father, who we call Jerry, he had been stealing his weed for months. He had all this weed in his cupboard, and he'd been stealing it for months. I'd been stealing it for months, but he kicked me out for the weed on the little plant on the. So just deep hypocrisy.
I was going to say that's the most hypocritical thing I've heard.
Yeah, and also academic, so professor. So the whole education university thing was like the whole point of living, really. And I rejected that, and then I grew the weed plant. Anyway, kicked out at 16. So from 16, I have been on my own, and really, I was kind of abandoned at 8 when we moved to Australia. So I've kind of been I've been on my own since 8, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is hectic.
Pretty hectic, you know, especially when my friends have kids who are around that age now and they're like, I can't imagine it. And it's like, well, I was just neglected. I was just ignored from about 8.
And you're an only child.
No, I had a sister 10 years later. So when I was 10, sister came out.
Big gap.
That sister had a completely different life. She had privilege, she had tutors, she had private schools, she had all of these things. Not me. Yeah. So she was 6 when I got kicked out.
And does that add to the trauma?
I mean, yeah, but like that happens often in families where the first kid gets the rough end of the stick, right? And then the second kid gets all the concessions and they were doing it better this time and all that kind of stuff. So that's a common family trauma.
Yep.
But the tricky thing for me was that she was actually their child. And I was not. So
At all?
No, I was not his child. My mother lied to my father about who I was.
So he
for
didn't
38
even know.
years. He didn't know.
Wow.
But he did know, because think about it. You just told me you had a 5-year-old son, right? Think about looking at your son. You can see yourself in him, right?
Big time, yeah.
Yeah. Imagine if it wasn't your son.
Yeah.
So he knew. He knew. I can look, when I look through my childhood photos, I can see the point at which he knew I wasn't his. It's about 6 to 8.
But do we give him credit for treating you like no?
He was very abusive.
Right, that's okay. Yeah.
He basically took out on me his feelings about his wife's infidelity for years.
So he saw you as a product of her bad behavior. I don't want to put
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to either because we're hypothesizing about essentially mentally unwell people, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was really abusive to me. He never like sexually abused me, but he used to spank me in front of people when I was way too old for it, like that kind of thing. Like humiliation was really big. Put downs, like a lot of derision. He would speak to me with derision all the time. He would tell me I was useless, I was no good, I would never use my brain, I would never really amount to anything, this kind of stuff. Yeah, and I guess...
that's horrible for a kid in their formative years.
Yeah, it really is. You really do need to learn to reparent yourself when you've been through stuff like that. And this is part of the work that I do with people as a coach, I guess as a sort of, I hate the word, but life coach. Ugh, it gives me the hive saying it. But like, I'm a business coach who's holistic. And so it ends up being... what else has gone on in your life? How's your relationship with your partner? And so all this kind of stuff. And we need to, when you've been through family trauma, you need to reparent yourself. Yeah. You need to give yourself that love and acceptance that was never given to you as a child, that place to rest where it's okay and you're allowed to be, I never had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going through a little bit of similar sort of stuff.
Are you?
Just with my son, and my dad wasn't around when I was a kid, so it's all reparenting is interesting and an interesting take on it, which I haven't really heard before.
Well, the other thing about I don't have children myself. I'm child-free by choice, and I'm very happy about that. But I have dear friends who, the minute they have a child, all their trauma comes up. It is literally like this mirror. Right? The kid is just like, suddenly all of these patterns, reactions, and everything, they're brought up. You really do have to go through your childhood trauma to be a good parent. And like a lot of the people that I know that are having kids, in our generation, around our age, they're really wanting to be good parents. And they often didn't have a very good blueprint. They weren't raised in those supportive, nurturing, welcoming environments. And so they have to almost reparent themselves as a process of parenting this little human that they've brought into the world. Yeah. And it's full on, it's no joke.
It's probably the sort of, maybe people 10 years younger than me, say in their 30s, they're now fully equipped to break the cycles, where I think people that might have had kids early that are in their 40s now, if they had, was a bit of a different time where you sort of followed the family cycles and you didn't think about breaking them.
Yes. Well, it was kind of like the honorable thing to do in a way, right? Like even the people, like my parents were academics, and so I follow in the academic footsteps. It's the same in the military. It's the same in the police force. Like there's these certain branches where it's like you grow up and you become a teacher or whatever because that's what everyone did before you. But the thing is, within all of that, there is this repeating of these generational trauma patterns as well, often. And with this tendency of families to sweep things under the rug to keep the peace, it doesn't get examined. Yeah. It doesn't get looked at. And as a result, it doesn't get broken. The chains don't get broken. And so I'm a big believer that actually it's around our age, 30s to 40s, mid-30s to 40s, that are the first people actually breaking as a generation. There's definitely boomers that have done it in their own individual way. But as a generation, we're now equipped with language and tools and things to examine this stuff and to actually leave some of these things in the past, hopefully.
That's big.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's what we really need to do. And we need the next generation of kids to not have to think about breaking cycles because this generation has done the hard work for them.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be a perfect plan, but you just hope that. Yeah,
but I'm 45, and so I'm a Zennial. I'm right on the cusp there between Gen X and Millennial. I'm 79, and
I never know what those breaking points are because they are pretty loose, aren't they?
They're pretty loose, but the reason why Zennial is a thing apparently, and it is 79 to like 82. It's like this tiny. Are you? There you go. So it's this tiny little moment, and it's due to like sort of technology, I think, and. What I notice in my millennial friends, who are a chunk younger, really, they're sort of like mid to late 30s at this point, they have way more tools than we had 10 years earlier. Like,
that's the internet coming
it
in
is.
the mid-90s.
It is. It is.
So, like
even around consent and women's empowerment and all this kind of stuff, equality, the language even that they had is way more than we had. You know, like even the term like cisgendered, never had it in high school, didn't know what it was, wasn't a thing.
No.
And that's why sometimes with the younger gen, I'm like, you go easy on us Gen X's, mate, because we didn't have this whole landscape that you guys had to grow up in.
Yep.
And we didn't grow up with the internet. You know, like the internet was around in high school. We hardly used it. My first mobile phone was when I was 21. It's a flip phone. You know, it was only really when social media came to the fore in like the early mid 2000s, around 2003 or so, when Facebook became a thing.
2007.
Was it 2007?
I'm pretty sure.
So even the first few years where I was promoting at Lounge, there was no social media.
You'd still do the group text messages.
We did group text. We had Beat Magazine. Like Beat Magazine was the Bible, you know. And then when socials came in, it was like, oh my God, there's this sort of instant audience. But yeah, now we're in the end of the internet world where it's trash. It's just trash. The whole internet is trash.
It is. It is. I don't like where it's going. But,
No, me neither.
Well, let's get back on your journey. So it's 16. So what did you do when you got kicked out?
I went and got 3 jobs.
Okay.
I've always been an entrepreneur / hustler. I'm always looking for what else I can do. Not just to make money, but to like further my goal of helping the world. I guess it sounds cheesy, but like, yeah, back then it was hospitality and dabbling in arts and music stuff.
In Adelaide still?
In Adelaide. The minute I turned 18, I got in a bus to Melbourne though.
It's interesting that you waited till you were 18, even though you're out of home. You could have gone whenever.
Yeah, but I think around 18, there was some friends over here.
Okay.
And so there was a little place to land and there was a little vibe and, you know, all of that. And also I couldn't get the doll at 16 because my mother wouldn't sign the forms to say I was living out of home. So I had no doll.
That's horrible.
Couldn't get the doll.
They booted you out, but wouldn't say legally you were out of home.
Correct. Because it was my behavior keeping me out of home when actually it was the fact that I didn't want to go to uni at 16. Like the level of lies and manipulation and gaslighting, I never realized because I didn't know the secret.
Yeah.
I didn't know why I was at fault for everything. And then at 38, I found out why. So now I'm 45. So it's been 8 years. It's been a journey, you know, and that's what encouraged me to sort of publish the book. And this is what's encouraged me to be even more myself, really, because I wasn't the problem.
When you found out, was it like a weight lifted off your shoulders or was it more stress?
No, it was a train wreck.
Right.
It was a train wreck that happened over and over for a year. I cried every day for a year. Yeah.
Because you still felt like it was your burden.
Yeah, because I realized that why daddy never loved me is because I wasn't daddy's. It was not my fault. You know, there was all this kind of stuff. Like I'd been to therapy for fucking years with my daddy issues and he wasn't even my dad. This other man was my dad. This other man who died 5 years before I found out, who I never got to meet, was actually my dad.
Yeah.
You know?
Was he still in the US?
He is an Italian who was the Deputy Lord Mayor of Adelaide.
Oh.
He died in Melbourne 5 years. I moved to Melbourne without even knowing why, and I was 2 streets away from my half-sister.
Wow.
Like some trippy shit.
So, I'm just trying to get this timeline right.
Yeah.
So did your mum come back here for a holiday and then go?
So in 2016, I don't know if you remember Maitreya Festival?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was the operation...
Lockie Bell.
Right. So I was the operations manager for the last couple of Maitreyas. And to this day, Maitreya 2015 at Lake Warnock, the one that happened, that was my pinnacle in the rave scene. Just to get that on record. That was the pinnacle of my career in the rave scene after 30 years. It's been 30 years now. Simply because what we pulled off was fucking insane. It was wild and crazy and loose as fuck. But I have never felt so supported by a festival team to just do my thing. And we all just did our thing and it was amazing. So the next year I was operations manager again. But a week before, my dog died, who was like my life partner. So my dog died. My boyfriend at the time, who I thought I was going to marry, couldn't handle the grief because he couldn't do feelings. He left me. And the guys I was living with in a share house started becoming abusive. So I kicked them all out and I had to move out of the share house. Then the guys on Maitreya site rang me and they said, we don't have a permit, but we're doing it anyway. And we're coming to get you. I was like, no, you can't come get me. They're like, why? I was like, I'm drinking whiskey. I don't even drink. I'm drinking whiskey. My dog died. Like, I'm not coming. So that last Maitreya where they lost the permit, I never even made it to the site.
Yeah.
This was all in the space of 3 or 4 weeks. And I asked my mother to come and help me move out of the share house. And that's when she told me.
Why then?
No clue. Honestly, Maloney, she doesn't know why. I don't know why. I was at the absolute bottom of any barrel that there was.
Seems like an unusual time.
Right. But that's when she got off the plane. She had 1 glass of wine and she told me, your dad's not your dad.
I don't even know. Yeah.
I know.
Why would you pick? You'd want to pick when someone's in a stable condition, not when they're vulnerable.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea why. But, it's been a lot of work over the years. When I say work, I mean self-work, self-searching. I mean, I've gone and seen Maori, like intuitive healers with crystals, all kinds of people, straight through to like regular ass psychology to work out that a few adages that have really helped me. Number one, you don't owe your abusers forgiveness, actually. You just don't. That is a Christian bullshit that you need to forgive everyone. Mm-hmm. You don't owe your abusers forgiveness. That was a really important thing for me to understand.
Is that what some psychologists go through that route? Or is that more...
It's very new trauma-informed stuff.
Okay.
A lot of psychologists are still working on the DSM and they're not quite there yet. Mm-hmm. The new stuff that's coming out about trauma-informed goes very deep on this stuff, and it's kind of tearing apart like phrases like everything happens for a reason. No.
But that's putting faith in sort of a higher being kind of thing.
Sure, but like everything does not happen for a reason. Really bad things happen to beautiful people all the time in this world. The world is chaotic. And even if you believe in God and fate and destiny and all of that, really bad things happen to good people. And actually, it's not everything happens for a reason. It's that all things happen. And it's the only thing you can control is what you do with what happens to you. That is the trauma-informed upgrade of that. And so, yes, someone will abuse you or they will disrespect you or they will whatever, but how you react is your choice. And this goes right through to like revenge and all of that stuff, karma, like this is really big topic where I'm sort of glossing over here, but like there are new ways of living in this world and living with trauma. I mean, we've all got trauma. Pretty much we've all got trauma. And if you're living in Melbourne and you did during lockdowns, then we share that trauma as well. Mm-hmm. That was collective trauma that the globe and also Melbourne went through together. Yep. And, as a result, we can't talk about it. A lot of my Melbourne friends, we don't talk about it because it was fucking horrible.
Yeah, it's like you get PTSD just talking about it.
Correct.
People are like, I don't just forget that.
No. So it was 2020 and now it's 2025. Right. We're moving forward, And so what people don't realize is that these family traumas, being rejected, being the black sheep, being whatever, these are collective traumas as well. Yep. They're just more spread out, and they're not on the table as much as like a pandemic that's on the news every day is. Yeah. But trauma's the same.
It is, and everyone, like you said, everyone goes through trauma, and you don't want to discount certain traumas because at some stage you're like, is this first world problems? You know what I mean? Like everyone has issues.
Yeah.
We could be in other parts of the world where, your dad not giving you enough attention is not a problem because they've got bigger issues. So
totally.
we need to, like, everyone experiences and takes things on differently. And I think it's important to be mindful of that. And what doesn't affect you might affect someone else totally different.
Absolutely. And also what I don't like about the first world problems thing is, okay, right now, you and I are sitting here and we're not worried about being bombed. Maloney, we're good. We know that we're going to go home tonight and the animals and the kids, everyone's going to be there and we're going to have food on the table, right? But that doesn't discount what we've been through.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the entire world, like everything else, is kind of irrelevant to what lives here, really. Like this is, what it's like when you are a grumpy asshole and you go out in the world and what do you get? You get grumpy assholes. Yeah. It's a little bit the same with first world problems. It's like all we can deal with is what we have in front of us. It's a bit chop wood, carry water. We still have issues living in Australia, that they don't have in other countries. We are the lucky country, but there's things that aren't lucky about being here as well.
Yeah.
And I think that
but nowhere's perfect.
Nowhere is perfect. And I always laugh when people are like, oh, I'm leaving Australia. I'm like, okay, where are you going? quite innocently, because it's like there's shit everywhere, mate, even in Switzerland. Like it looks beautiful and it's all perfect and whatever. There's not much culture there. There's not much art. There's not much happening because there's not much pressure. You know, you go to Berlin and there's been so much discord there that there's so much art coming from that. And so it's like, you know, the grass is often greener.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think we're pretty lucky here on a global scale.
Yeah.
We've got lots of culture. We've got beautiful beaches. It's
Same.
relaxed. If you don't really want to work, you sort of don't have to. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of places you can. We got free
No.
medical, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of good things. But there's a lot of shit things. You got to take the good with the bad.
There is. And, you know, we do have inherent racism. We do have inherent sexism. Like, we do have these problems. But also, these problems also exist around the world. You know, like, we're not in some weird glass bubble, you know? Yeah.
So we'll talk about the Matea thing eventually. But so you moved to Melbourne. So what do you, when you get here, you're 18, you're living your life. You land north side somewhere. Where are you living?
North
What do you
side?
yeah.
In a warehouse in Clifton Hill with 15 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, McKean Street warehouse. Kind of infamous in a certain little group of electronic music people. Hospitality, you know, hustling, decor, parties, Earthcore. Worked at Earthcore for years doing decor, stage managing. Basically, all of those initial parties I was sort of involved in somewhat.
Yep.
Protest movements. Like S11, which happened the year before 9/11.
I remember that.
Yeah, when we shut down Crown Casino.
Yes.
That year, we had all these people come from interstate and stay at our warehouse and go down there every day. That was my first experience of the media lying and of cop brutality first.
Yeah.
So 2000, that was 2000. I have never trusted the media since 2000, and I ACAB ever since 2000. Like, that's it. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I don't believe that all cops actually are bastards. I believe that they've signed up to police a system of oppression and that they will follow orders no matter what, and that often that is an antithesis to what society needs. So 2000 was when I witnessed all that, and I have not changed my view.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been working as a safety officer for the last few years, working with emergency services, emergency responding at festivals. I work with cops. I respect cops, but it's still ACAB in my heart. It still is. It still is. It'll never go away.
Yeah. It's that. I remember that protest in particular, and it was all about globalization and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, because Bill Clinton was coming over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the G20 summit, I think.
Yeah.
And it was about weapons, and it was about, like, the future direction of spending. And that was why it was like, well, we got to be heard. We need to be taken into account.
Yeah.
We're going to let you know that you are being scrutinized. You know, and this is what I feel is kind of missing these days. We kind of have lost some of that.
Yeah.
You know, through various societal reasons.
So then you get yourself into the party sort of festival scene, 2 feet.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much 2 feet in. I mean, when you're living in a warehouse with 15 people, some of them were strippers, other people were DJs, you know, they were all of us were
Is
involved.
that still like a share house warehouse?
Oh, God, no. Nah, it's now 15 units that are probably $1 million each.
Yeah.
The front facade is still there. I actually did another interview with Beat Repeat. They did one with Honey Smack and they did one with me, and it starts outside that warehouse.
Oh, cool.
And it's actually, if you love listening to podcasts, have a listen because it's a great history of that initial rave days. So yeah, we did like Teriyaki and Akisaki was like my intro to sort of the club world, and Earthcore was my intro to the outdoor party world, and those things were sort of happening concurrently around that time, early 2000s, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back then, it wasn't called a doof. That wasn't really a
It
wasn't a term.
No, it was just a party. It was a party.
Yeah.
You know?
And you felt like that was, you felt at home straight away in that sort of.
Those are my
Earthcore scene.
people.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that first Earthcore dance floor. That was 98, actually. I'd driven over from Adelaide, and it was at Mountain Disappointment, and we went on the dance floor, and I was like, who the fuck are all these tattooed, sexy, dancing, queer freaks? Like, I want in. Whatever this is, I want in.
Yeah.
And it took me another 2 years to move to Melbourne, but like...
You felt that Adelaide had nothing like that.
Well, I ran an underground club in Adelaide in the basement of a goth club. The policy was vinyl only, which is why I was admiring your vinyl. Because this is back in the days when no one DJ'd off a USB. That's not a thing. There was either live electronica or there was vinyl, right?
Yep.
And so we did vinyl only. It was called the Sand Pit, and it was a weekly free Thursday night. And I ran that for about, I want to say around 9-10 months, but it was at that seminal point just before Millennium where the UK sort of festival vibe had sort of come over and was sort of infiltrating the underground. Sydney was kind of popping off, but it was a few tendrils were in Melbourne, a few tendrils were in Adelaide, you know. And it was running that club, the weekly club. It was great. It went down in history. It was called the Sandpit. People in Adelaide will still remember the Sandpit. But there was no one helping me, really. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I want to be around, like, other people doing stuff. Like, I want a population of people to encourage me, support me. I want other people to bounce off. Yep. Adelaide felt very, like, entertain me. Adelaide was like, entertain me. And I was like, no.
It is a very small city.
It's a very small. Not a city. It's a big country town.
There's a couple of streets.
It's a big country town.
I love how there's different sections. This is the shopping bit. Yeah. This is the going out bit. And that's the where you go for dinner. You go to Gooja Street for dinner.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you do there. Yeah, no, I must admit, I don't have the softest place in my heart for Adelaide. But a lot of that is due to family trauma.
Right.
I do have a couple of dear friends there who are like family to me. Most other people have left. Yep. A lot of people left.
It's a beautiful place, like weather-wise and beach-wise.
Yeah, but the city is boring as fuck, man.
Yeah, it is.
Like, there's no vibe, and like, I don't know. Even now, when I go there, like sometimes I'm there during Fringe, and people are like, "Oh, what show are you in?" I'm like, "I'm not a show. This is just me living my life. I'm just living my life, just walking down the street. Like, I'm not in a show." You know, I just found that whole separation of celebrity and normal, like. It's not like that in Melbourne. People are just cool. Yeah. People just do stuff. Everyone's doing something.
Do something, yeah.
You know?
What are you doing? What do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you get that. Like, I like Adelaide, but, you know, you'd go there to retire.
Yeah, I don't have any, no. The only reason I go there now is to see my couple of good friends there. And, yeah.
Yeah, they can come to Melbourne.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm trying to get them to more often. Yeah, they're like, it's cold. I'm like, fuck off climate change. Come on down. It's humid and lovely.
It's nice. But and you've obviously been here for long enough now.
Yeah.
You start to embrace winter.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it this year, honestly, Maloney. It's been too hot for too long.
Yeah.
Like, and this is crazy me saying this, like, I'm totally a summer baby. Put me in, like, one piece of fabric, I'm happy. But I'm looking forward to the hibernation bit as well, I think. Mm-hmm. Summer, I am so busy and so on with all of the things that I do. Like, I literally haven't stopped since the start of the year. Yeah. This is my first chance to sort of take a breath, you know?
And also someone who, you know, is interested in aesthetics. You get to change your wardrobe. You get to do
you get to wear stuff. Absolutely, yeah.
Layers and stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So then you're into the rave scene, the party scene. You're deep in it, but are you starting to run things as well, or you're just an observer at this stage? No,
I was never really an observer. Like, as soon as I wanted to be there, I was helping.
Yep.
So I started off doing decor. I started off doing weird decor.
Which is cool because it gets you there to the festivals beforehand, so you get to really experience the whole thing.
That's right. So I was doing decor, and then, honestly, the big change in my life, the directional change happened in 2006, I think it was. 2006? Yeah, 2006, when I got the job at Lounge as the booker. And, like, Lounge is no longer there, but Lounge was a fucking icon. Like, it really was. It was Melbourne's first 24-hour license before Revolver.
Yep.
And for a while there, Lounge was the city version of Revolver. And Lounge was also one of the first places in the Southern Hemisphere to do, like, restaurant into nightclub vibe. Yep. And, like, move the lighting and the furniture and change the music and sort of, like, do this seamless transition. And yeah, it was interesting because I was not really heavily involved in the DJ nightclub scene, but I got the job by going hard. I went and researched what they were currently doing. I went in there with a whole list of things that I wanted to do, and I ended up getting the job.
Wow. And that was one of the first places that really started the recovery culture, like, as well.
It was, yeah. We'd have, like, people turn up in the morning for the morning dealio and all of that, you know? And what was also good about it was that we had such a range of genres. You know, we had, like, Luke McD doing smash bang and that sort of live techno with saxophone and stuff on Saturdays, with Boogs and all of that. Sorry, I might get the days confused, what days what was. But then we had the drum and bass crew coming in, you know, combat bass, and we had, like, a really solid drum and bass crew, and, like, that was just so lovely. You know, it was so nice to do that. And I was putting art shows in there as well, and yeah, I was really given sort of a lot of support and help to make that awesome for a few years. And then I got headhunted from Lounge to go to Miss Libertine and do the same.
Yep.
And so I was at Lounge for 3 or 4 years, and then I was at Miss Libs for 3 or 4 years as well. So I spent a decade nearly living nightclubs, and I mean living them.
Yeah.
Like
Does it take its toll though?
Oh my God, seriously? Like, I'm not a huge drinker. I never really have been, but I was drunk. Like, I had a hangover 4 nights a week. Yeah, I was immersed, you know.
You're right in the city there as well. So it is very kind of overwhelming at times. You're like, can I look at a tree or something?
Well, I used to drive to go to the river and just be like, you know, and like, yeah. So I pretty much did leave Miss Libs in around, I think it was around 2010, 11, based on lifestyle. Like, I really was like, you know what, I think I was like my mid-30s then or whatever, and I was like, I want to be doing other things with my time than just like, and also when you're a booker / publicist, like, you have to smash it. You have to smash it a little bit. You're there to like make everybody feel welcome and thank everybody for coming. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't just sort of breeze in, breeze out. Like, I work with heart, you know, and I make relationships. And so I am going to have a vodka with you, or maybe even a shot with you, or whatever. Like, that's what I was doing. I would dress depending on what the genre was.
Yeah.
You know, I would like really do that attention to detail to make sure that I showed my face.
Yeah, and that's really important with like, being involved in a similar scene for quite a while. The people that would book you or talk about stuff and they wouldn't turn up on the night, you're like, that's like just what you're just going to shoot it from behind your computer screen. You've got to be there and be part of it.
Absolutely agree. Yeah. So I did do that for a long time. And meanwhile, in the early sort of mid 2000s, 2010, 11, is that when I started doing more festival work as well.
Yeah.
And so I'd been, you know, going to Rainbow Serpent, Earthcore, and all of this stuff, but then I started getting more heavily involved in the organizational side of it. And yeah, for the 10 years before COVID, I was doing a lot of that. So 2010 to 2020, very heavily involved in outdoor festivals.
And I feel like that's probably like the heyday of outdoor festivals. It becomes very hard after that, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, at the end there, 2018, 2019, I was like, we're dead. We're done. We're cooked. We're commercial. Honestly, like the last Rainbow Serpent, I feel like I saw the scene roll over like a bug and die.
Right. So it's done now, Rainbow? Or it still exists?
Well, this was the last one where I just felt like we'd flooded it with the wrong kind of people.
Yeah. It was the people, the Instagram weekend warriors that had corporate jobs who were going to paint themselves. And
we also had like a fire that year that was started by lightning and then put out by rain, but it was very fucking stressful. I was a safety officer, one of a team of safety officers. We had a truck plow into a campsite that year and nearly kill some people. Like, we had so much shit go down that I was like, this is no longer sustainable. This is no longer sustainable at all.
And public liability goes up.
All of it. All of it.
So all of a sudden people need to pay $500-$600 for a ticket and you're like, that's...
So this was 2018 and then it was 2019 that the land burned. I think it was 2019 when we didn't have Rainbow because the land burned. Or was that 2020? Anyway, I can't remember the timeline now. Whatever. Once you're over 40, timelines don't matter. Just whatever. But yeah, then the land burned there. Our site burned and it was devastating, you know, and... You know, I will never say never, but I'd highly doubt if Rainbow will come back in its previous form.
Yeah, because was it around about that time that Spiro passed away as well? The original...
Well, he was the original Earthcore. Well, actually, there was 4 guys in the beginning with Earthcore. Spiro was just marketing. And that's what most people don't know, is that Spiro was not Earthcore. There was 4 guys.
Okay. Because as someone who's not part of that scene at all, that was what I was kind of led to believe. But yeah.
Well, by the end, he was.
Right,
because he'd liquidated and restarted so many businesses, and he was Earthcore. Right. But there was 4 guys at the start. There was Carl Switek, who was a DJ. There was Pip, Krusty from Green Ant, and Spiro. There was 4 guys. And so when I first got involved in Earthcore, it was all the 4 of those guys doing different elements. Yeah, it was sad what happened over the years, actually, because Earthcore was like the original. Earthcore was the original doof in Australia.
Yeah, it was
Seriously.
The one that a lot of people sort of modelled their own version on.
Yeah, it was. It was. And... there was a lot of attention to detail and art and beautiful things that are really missing at some of these outdoor parties that we see now, that is literally just production. It's just a big stack and a whole lot of bush poles, and there's nothing to discover.
Okay.
You know? You're just there. Yeah, it's a different model now. Yeah.
Yeah, but back then, and as someone who wasn't there, but just from an outsider looking in, it seemed like you could get away with a little bit more, when now you can't really, right? It's overly legislated. It's overly...
All of those things are true. Like this is what I was saying in that other interview about how it's changed. The scene has changed. It's no one's fault. Do you know what I mean? You can't blame a promoter or even a scene for how things change over time in society. Like, we are literally talking about 2 generations, 20 years of change. We're talking about legislative changes. We're talking about drug use changes. There was no meth, mate. Yeah. There was no meth in the beginning. No meth. Didn't exist. There was truckee speed, maybe a little. Yep. Everyone was on hallucinogens. You know, now everyone's on ketamine and meth. It's just a totally different landscape, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think in that sort of period where meth infiltrates, the whole club scene changes, the party scene changes, everything changes.
Yeah. And even like the streets change, you know, and then couple that with, like you said before, the higher costs of insurance and what we've seen even recently. It's not just insurance. Everything has gone up 30%. Wages, suppliers, infrastructure. And so it's this perfect storm of bullshit where you can't raise the ticket prices too much, then you don't get the punters, If you don't book the internationals, then you don't really get the draw card. Like, it's this interwoven thing. It's as complicated, honestly, as the housing market. There's no one answer.
Yeah.
The death of festival scene is honestly as complicated as the fucked housing market that we're in right now.
Yeah.
You know, and I am passionate about that because we've absolutely cooked the housing market. You know, just to completely divert from our previous topic, but I read yesterday that we have $4 trillion in Australia in superannuation. $4 trillion.
Which you can access to buy your first house, I believe.
They're making that coalition promise this year.
But you can't in general?
No, I don't think you can yet.
Okay.
Coalition is saying they'll give you 50 grand, but that's only if you have 125 grand. And the problem with that is most people in house buying age, which is 30s, don't have that much money in super yet. So the whole thing's actually fucked. Yeah. It's actually just a lip service. It's a fake carrot dangling.
Well, I think now, sadly, it comes down to kids born now, you know, in the 2020s, unless... And it's probably not even their parents. It's probably their
generational wealth.
Their grandparents.
That's right.
Is the only way that they can get into the market.
That's right.
If your parents were renters, well,
correct.
Get used to it.
It's true. And there needs to be major systemic change. But what I'm saying is it's one of those things like where one policy is not going to make the difference. There needs to be like this concerted effort across the board. Yeah. You know, and it's a little bit the same with our art scene in Melbourne, right? Which I feel really strongly about, art and music. We've fucking cooked it, mate. What is Rising? What the fuck is Rising? I'm so angry about Rising. They took all of the funding from White Night, our free public accessible event, and they gave it to Rising.
I don't know what Rising is. Explain it to us.
Oh, really?
No.
Rising is a winter festival that's held in June every year.
Which was when White Night was on?
White Night was more in the summer-ish months, like more May-ish, I think, like a bit earlier, so it wasn't so freezing. But Rising is in the winter months. But it is bougie fucking shit. Everything is $50 to $60. Also, the content is international artists. So we had a 2-year lockdown, right? And you were saying that half your business ended. All of my business ended in an hour. Literally everything canceled in an hour for everyone in the events industry. So nothing for 2 years. And then they put on this festival where they bring all these international artists over. Fuck that. Why didn't they employ Melbourne artists? They didn't even employ Melbourne crews for half of it. Like, it's still bullshit.
And when did that come in? Last year?
No, it's been here like since we opened up pretty much. 2021 maybe was the first one, or 2022. And everything is expensive. Everything is ticketed. Everything is edgelord content as well. Like, not about it, mate. Where are the public free accessible events? And this is why I really love what I do running the Street Art Festival for Frankston City Council. It's free. It's free. Anyone can come. No one's got money for $50 shows right now. It's not okay. Like, I feel really strongly that we need to invest in public art, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So this is all new to me. So White Night's done now.
White Night is only regional. They held them in Ballarat and Shepparton and Bendigo.
Yeah.
They don't run one in the city. It's an absolute travesty. It's really, really sad. Like,
I feel like the buildings in the city is what it needs. Yeah.
Dude, it was a magical night. Like, I worked it for 4 of the 5 years it ran. And it was fucking hard. It was a hard night. Like, it was all night and it was a hard night. But it was magical. We shut the city down for art and music and projection and fiesta, and it was all free. Like, it's going to make me emotional. Like, it was a bloody incredible event. And we pissed it off to do some fucking like, one of the years at Rising, they had a 5-course degustation restaurant built at Meyer Music Bowl that was hundreds of dollars to get in. That is not accessible. I don't want my taxpayer money paying for that. Fuck off. I'm getting spicy now, sorry.
Yeah, no, is that kickbacks from certain people in the government, or what's going on?
No clue, Maloney. I'm not at the table. I'm just one of us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not at that table, but I will speak vocally. I did a submission to Parliament about this. I don't just bitch on podcasts. I am writing letters. I am a staunch advocate for more public art, like public spending.
Yeah.
You know, on free stuff, not on ticketed bougie shit.
Yeah.
You know?
And that is the sad thing. You want, and people get the money that are good at writing the grants.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Absolutely. And
Artists
also,
aren't good at writing grants.
once you get a grant, they know who you are. Yeah. You get another grant. But if you never get a grant, you never get a grant. Yeah. You wouldn't believe the number of arts jobs that I am overqualified for, Maloney, that I have never got an interview because my name is Bo Kitty. Don't even get an interview.
You think that they just see that?
Absolutely.
Right.
They think I'm a porn star or something. For real. No interview.
Is that your birth name?
No.
So you did choose it?
Yeah.
Okay.
My middle name is Ghetto on my passport.
Okay, there you go. So then, let's, on the timeline, where are we now? 2010, 2012?
So 2010, 2012 was when I left Miss Libs.
Yeah.
And that was when I decided to freelance. Mm-hmm. So a couple of things happened. I decided to buy a place because I knew I was maybe never going to have a salary ever again.
Right.
I bought an investment property in Brisbane before I quit my job.
Yep.
And then, because I couldn't afford Melbourne. And then I went full pelt into freelance life. And really, like, yeah, the last 15 years career-wise, they're kind of the ones that I'm the most proud of because it's me.
Yep.
It's me pushing, me using my years of doing all that other work and my networks to continue, you know?
Yeah. And so then when you say freelance as in running parties, running events, doing whatever you do, they go, we've got this idea, can you curate it for us, that sort of thing?
All of it, yeah. I had an art gallery at Miss Libs, so an underground art gallery that was kind of basically street artists off the street.
Yep.
It was amazing that they gave me that space for free so that I could keep it ethical and keep commission low and give free beer and do all of this thing. And so we had this lovely period where we'd have art exhibitions on Wednesday night and we'd have live hip hop downstairs.
Yep.
And we had cheap jugs and cheap pizzas and it was a vibe. And one night, fucking De La Soul came down.
Yeah.
Like that was another pinnacle. Nightclub pinnacle, that night when
Yep.
De La Soul came to Miss Libs, that was my pinnacle of nightclubs. That was around, I think, 2010-ish.
Yep.
And then Maitreya was 2015 in the festival circuit. And then...
Were you involved in Maitreya or were you a freelancer helping them?
I wasn't part of them.
Yeah.
They contracted me in to run operations.
Right.
So I was definitely part of the team, but I didn't work all year on it. Like...
So this is because I thought Spiro was the head of Earthcore, and I thought that Lockie was the...
He was.
So he was.
Him and his partner, Sophie, they were the head of Maitreya.
Right.
At the top. It was their baby. And then underneath was all of us.
Right.
And they were just actually really great to work for. Like, as in responsive, friendly, paid us, the things you want.
You want. And so you saw that was sort of revitalising your love for festivals when he was going in it with that sort of original mindset?
I mean, I never lost the love for festivals until after that.
Okay.
I lost the love for festivals around 2017, 2018, when there was a few new kids on the block and they just didn't want to do things properly. And I don't mean properly like all legal and all whatever, but I mean like fucking pay people.
Yeah.
And make things safe. Because you do have a duty of care to your ravers, like you do. Yep. You've brought them all out to the middle of nowhere. You have a duty of care to have fucking water and fucking toilets, like you just do.
Yeah.
And I take that stuff really seriously, you know?
When people are in those party moods, to not have access to water and stuff can be potentially fatal.
It is fatal. I mean, I've been on multiple sites where we've had fatalities. It's not fun. And it's not always it's often not the promoter's fault, right? Of course. It's often personal, you know, some drug health intersection of bad times. But yeah, you don't have the basic things there, and you're increasing the risk of that.
Yeah.
You know?
And when you look at, like, I think esoteric this year, they didn't get all the things ticked off.
This is going to be a can of worms.
Well, I don't know, but they're like,
Yeah.
Were they rolling the dice? Was that like, did they know it wasn't going to get canned? Like, I did, yeah.
It's a very unfortunate what happened. ESO fucked it. Management fucked it.
You reckon?
Yes, I know.
So they weren't being made an example of basically, don't try and run a festival because if you don't, yeah.
I ran that party in 2020, the last one before lockdown. Mm-hmm. I still have PTSD from it.
Right. Cutting corners.
Massively.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And that's all you want to say on that?
Well, I mean, that was 2020. It was a really bad experience for me. Some people on the crew cared, some didn't, that happened.
Yeah.
I was running operations. Like, operations is literally the hub of the whole thing. And when I saw this play out this year, they gave me a junior to train in 2020. That junior bullied me, sabotaged me, stole my documents, took my job.
Wow.
Yeah. And he is apparently still somehow the ops manager.
There you go.
Yeah. And so when this happened this year, I mean, I'm an industry professional. I've been doing safety even at these things for the last 10 years, you know. So I tuned into the council meeting. There was a live stream council meeting. At that council meeting, they read out the conditions. If you knew anything about permits, you would have known at that meeting, the party was not on. The party was not going ahead. Council just did that to save face.
Okay.
Those guys did not prepare not just the documentation, but their planning was nowhere near.
Okay.
Nowhere near. They were not paying professionals to do their event management and planning.
Yeah, and that's the thing with putting on anything of that scale, you have to have your documentation right before you think about anything else.
Right, and also they went for a 10-year permit, which no fucking council is going to give because we are in a climate emergency. So your fire plan today is not your fire plan in 10 years. There's no way. So no one's giving a 10-year permit. That was madness. No one told them. There was no adults in the room.
So if somebody was thinking about putting on and starting a festival like that, they need to enlist someone like you with the runs on the board to actually...
Yes.
Yeah.
Not just me, a team of me.
Right.
They need a team of me.
Do they exist? Is there a team?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4.
But then they think, then we have to pay these people X amount, which puts the ticket prices up, our overheads, blah, blah, blah. That's what
The problem is that they will pay $150,000 to an act to come, and they won't pay $10,000 to a planning team.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is not that we drive the ticket price up. The problem is that the budget is not balanced.
Yeah.
That they don't understand. A lot of promoters don't understand that if you don't have your ducks in a row, it is not going to be a commercially viable event. Yeah. You will not get the permit. People will not eat the bugs. The embers will not come. You have to do things right now, or you're doing a party for mates that's underground. There's 2. That's it.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
you can't gamble. What was really hard for me to watch was the narrative that it's a target on our scene, because I have been around for nearly 30 years in this scene, and there has been times when it has been an agenda target. You know, like Gladys Berejiklian and the shit that went down in Sydney and not having pill testing and all this fucking bullshit. There has been targets on our scene. But what happened out at Buloke was piss poor planning. Okay? And yeah, they actually are the ones at fault, and the ones who should be rattling the cages, the food vendors. The food vendors lost hundreds of thousands of dollars that weekend.
Yeah.
You know, like friends of mine, financially ruined from that not going ahead. They need to hold organization accountable.
But with the grand scheme of things, that might mean that they're out of business and the festival's done for good. Yeah, fair enough.
Not sure if they're going to come back.
Yeah.
Because all the ticket money is spent on running the festival. That's how festivals work.
Yeah.
So right now, you add up 10,000 people, the ticket price is $5 million in ticket money.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that. There you go.
Yeah. Me and a lot of other industry professionals have been discussing all of this because, quite honestly, what at a situation like that, do you know what it does? It puts more scrutiny on our scene
For
afterwards.
sure it does. Yeah.
That's right.
And then...
It makes it worse for any newcomers coming to do the right thing. And this is why I'm passionate about it and why I'm actually going to speak publicly on this, is because I'm about helping the noobs. Esoteric was the noobs. They were the noobs. They were the younger gen. I went to help them. They didn't want to listen, and I'm still going to help the next noobs. I'm going to help the next noobs. Like, this is what I'm going to do. But at this point, I'm a consultant only. I am not boots on the ground anymore.
Right. So, you can plan it for them and they have to execute the plan.
Or they have to hire someone who can execute the plan if they can't.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, people think, we'll run a festival, it'll be great, we'll do this, everyone will love it. You're like, it's probably the meticulous planning that goes into it. You may as well start a different business.
Yeah.
Which would probably be more enjoyable for you. Because you're going to be pulling your hair out the whole time.
Like, they were asked for a wastewater management plan, and they sent letters of support from local business to council instead.
Wow.
Yeah. And when council read that list out, I knew it was a nail in the coffin because I know how many days and how much money it takes to do all of those things. And there was no way it was possible in 4 days. It was not possible. The council set them an impossible task to save face. That's where council fucked up.
Right. So you think that both sides are to blame, potentially?
Both sides are to blame for how it ended
Played
up.
out, right. It should have been. So from council's perspective, you think they should have just canned it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
What council did to save face was say, it's conditional. And then that meant they had 4,000 ravers waiting to get in, early entry on Thursday, in an unsafe situation, actually, for 12 hours, while council went and kicked the tires and said it's not happening. Council did that to save face. Right. So I don't think council are the good guys in this situation. But I also think ESSO was insane to walk out of that meeting and go, it's on. It was never on. Right. It was never on.
Okay. Wow, I'm learning a lot. Like,
I'm so sorry. This is spicy.
No, it's good. Like, I've never been someone who's into that sort of Bush-Doof scene at all. I've never been to anything like that. My closest, I went to Meredith or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I'm not in that scene.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear it from somebody who actually knows, and I think no one knows it better than you by the sounds
Well,
of
the
it.
thing is, I wouldn't speak like this if I hadn't actually run their party for them, because I wouldn't know the players, but I do. And I warned them on a few things in 2020 that they completely ignored, and that's why they had a Shigella outbreak last year. That's a proper... Shigella is poo-to-mouth. Right. It's poo-to-mouth disease. It's not just gastro.
So the waste management plan was very, very important.
Very important. They had the poopers too close to the fooders. Like, it's simple.
Right.
I'm so sorry. It's like, yeah,
okay.
you need to address these things or you're going to have problems. And when you have a Shigella outbreak, you're going to get extra attention the next year.
So now you feel like all the noobs or anyone who's trying to upstart it, you think that there's going to be so much scrutiny on them because of this sort of stuff?
Well, everyone that does a bad job brings more scrutiny. And there's other crews that I could mention up the coast of New South Wales that do a similar thing, like as in a similar cowboy vibe, which means it's harder for other people to get going. But the thing is, if you do the research, it's a game. Permitting is a game. You play the game. They want information, you give them information. They ask for more information, you give them more information. Like, it's a you have to play. It's like going on Centrelink. You got to jump through the hoops. You can't go rogue. It's not a thing. Not a thing. You have to jump through the hoops, play the game, get the free money. It's exactly the same.
But there's no free money. There's
no free money,
rubber
but
stamp.
That's right. But the rubber stamp is, you can make $5 million a year on your paddock. We will let you, if you look after the well-being of those 10,000 people on site.
Yeah. So is there operators that are doing it well still?
Look, there's festival teams that are running people's parties well, but like even then, we're in a really scary environmental situation right now. No matter what, no matter who the promoter is, no matter who the team is, the environment's fucked. And so we have situations like Pitch last year when no one will make the call whether it's going ahead or not. CFA won't make the call, council won't make the call, promoters won't make the call. There's one road in, one out, total fire ban. Like, we're getting to this environmental situation where it's going to be really hard to put on these remote events during weird weather, Yeah,
I feel like they just want to push people to, like, somewhere that they know is contained. Like, go and do your thing at Rod Laver Arena. There's all the facilities there.
Yeah.
Go to My Music Bowl. Put a temp fence up. You've already got bathrooms. There's a wastewater,
Yeah. The problem is, it's not what people sign up for. No. It's not what they get excited about. But what's interesting is there was a 16-minute podcast thing I watched the other day that was saying that younger generation actually don't want to do multi-day festivals. They don't have the money.
Yeah.
They would rather do these day curated things. Like the scene has changed as well.
Yeah.
The people aren't really there for it, you know?
Well, I think kids have changed what they want to do. They're not drinking as much.
Yeah.
And they're more conscious of their health, and they don't want to go spend 3 days in the bush generally.
No, exactly.
And they're
Well, it's because they got to go home to live with their parents.
It is, but they want to get up the next day and go for a run or go to do yoga. They want like we went and did that, and it's done, and now we're going to do this. And
So I think that maybe it was a point in time, and we're getting to a point in time where multiple factors are making it not sustainable. Yes, the risk and safety mitigation has become expensive, right? Yes, the environment has become really unpredictable. You know, rainbow burnt, as in the land where we held it burnt, and the farmer, I think he said something like, you'll never do it at summer here again, do it at Easter or something. And then in Easter, it's flooding everywhere. It's raining all the time. You know, it's like there's all these issues, you know. And then you've got cost of living. And then you've got the fact that there's so few festivals that it's not a career anymore. And so most of us have to go, or most of us who used to work them have to go and have another job where we get paid something and then come out of it for kind of the kudos or the lols or the whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's not a full-time gig anymore. And so, you know, there's multiple factors once again in this sort of, I mean, it's sad, but the thing that I'm not sad about is like subcultures evolve. They do. Yeah. They evolve, they change. The people who want everything to stay the same, they stand in the way. You know?
Yeah.
It's like the graffiti scene. The graffiti scene has always evolved, always changed. At its core, it still has some of the same principles. But there's heaps of new players and there's heaps of new things happening, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. So your involvement with graffiti, you said you had the gallery at Miss Libs. You used to associate, I'm guessing, with these people. You curate sort of things. So how is your relationship, you know, progressed with that to get to the point that now you run full street art festivals? Yeah,
well, in 2005, I ran the Melbourne Stencil Festival. So
that was just at the start of sort of stencils going.
It was. And Melbourne was known as the stencil capital of the world for a hot minute there. Yeah. And that was when I was prolific on Stencil Revolution, the forum that was for sort of street art.
I miss forums.
Oh, did you?
No.
You miss them? Yeah, I do too. I really do.
Facebook killed them. And now I'm like, I reckon forums almost have a space in the internet.
I agree. There was two forums I was prolific on. Melbourne Beats, which was like the broken beat community, and Stencil Revolution, which was global, but what was his name? Prism?
Is there a book about that, I reckon?
Prism?
Got it. Oh, yeah, Prism, yeah.
Yeah, Prism started it.
Yep.
But then it became huge. There was 20,000 users all over the world.
Yeah.
And what was great about Stencil Revolution was people became known by their fucking work. Yeah. Everyone had a code name. Well, mine was Ghetto Kitty, and then I changed it on my passport to actually my name and had to stop tagging Ghetto Kitty everywhere. But I loved it there. I really found a little community there, and there wasn't that many women. So I was one of the most outspoken sort of women. I was the woman with the most posts at one point or whatever. Yeah. And then after we did Melbourne Stencil Festival at Meat Market, Kay Swiss approached me to do a touring art show to 5 countries in Asia. Yeah. So 2005, I took Phibbs, 610, who was from overseas, and Logan Hicks from America, and we did a tour to 5 countries in Asia, and I curated a show with Aussie artists. Of their work, and I sent it to the 5 locations. So like Megs, you know Megs? He lives down here. I saw him at the Street Art Festival.
Yeah, I've heard.
So he was in the show, and a whole bunch of Ghost Patrol and all these old players. Sorry, they're not old. Older players. Well,
they're there in that sort of jumping off period.
Yeah. It was sort of early Ever Fresh Days type vibe. So anyway, I did that in 2005. Right before so I went overseas, got all the galleries, sent all the artwork, did all of that, and 2 days before we were meant to fly off, I had a piggyback on my mate Guz, and I broke my foot, and I couldn't go. And I thought my life was over. That was 2005. I thought my life was over, seriously. That was the best job I'd ever had. Yep. I got flown all around 5-class, 5-star, and then I couldn't go on the actual tour. And K-Swiss dropped me like a hot potato.
Really?
Yep.
See, welcome to the world of freelance.
Totally. Yep. They needed me to get the kudos and the cred to get the artists involved. When I broke my foot, they were like, bye.
Yeah, which sucks, but it's something pretty cool to have on your resume.
I guess now. It's 20 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I was involved in graffiti back then. The thing that I realized really early on, and I made a few stencils, like I'm not an artist. I'm not a painter. I'm not. Like I've got a reasonably good hand style. but I'm just not, you know? And so I got famous for doing these mini bondage babies, little bondage babies that I stuck around anyway, like the macro sort of vibe and whatever. I made a few stencils like everybody did. And then I realized that actually this is my skill set. My skill set is marketing, production management, coaching, like all this other stuff.
Yep. And you can still be involved in the scene. You don't have to be the one.
Totally.
Yeah.
But also I just I feel ownership of the things I do, but I don't have much ego about it because it's not my work. Do you know what I mean? And so what that means is I can be a good music booker because I'm not a musician or DJ.
Yep.
And so I'm fair and I book what works and I book who's good to work with.
Yep.
And the same in graffiti with art. Like I can, you know, it might not be my personal taste, right? But I don't have any crew alliances or have any personal gain to be getting from any of it apart from maybe getting some more projects, you know?
Yeah.
So it's boded well, I think, keeping into this part of the wheelhouse. And actually, this leads me sort of a little bit to here because, you know, I'm 45 and I'm a little bit out of survival mode now. Like I own a house and that I'm close to paying off and whatever. And there was this moment a few years ago where I was like, I've been helping all these artists for years. And some of these artists, they're famous. Like, they're famous. They're doing amazing, you know? And I'm like, what have I done? People barely know me. My fucking name's Bo Kitty. They should know me. You know, no one really knows what I do still. And I had this moment where I was like, well, maybe it's time for me to be an artist. And I was like, well, what are you going to do, Bo? And I spent a few months like flirting with, well, maybe I'll be a silversmith, or maybe I'll be a potter, or maybe I'll be a this. And then it was like this knock from the universe. It was like, bitch, you're a writer. You have always been a writer. You have written on the internet. You have been writing in your businesses. You have been speaking, talking, writing, like words. Words are literally my magic. I was born with the ability. Right? Sing a tune, cannot fucking sing. When you said, do you want to sing? I was like, I do not want to fucking sing on this podcast. No way. I cannot sing.
That's just the box to tick.
I know. Yes, I was like, no, we don't sing. We don't paint. No. But I write like a demon, you know? And so me publishing this in October last year, it was a real like, girl, just you're going to need to back yourself once again.
And you've been compiling the stories from your whole life.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is 20 years of writing. Like, condensed, made into, given a narrative, like as in formed into something. There's no fiction in there, though.
And have you written it all yourself?
What do you mean?
No, I mean, like, well, some people do books and they have ghostwriters that help them.
Fuck no!
Okay, just checking.
No AI, no ghostwriters.
Yep.
I will not use AI for anything creative in my life. I'm really anti it.
I agree. And I was having this chat with Jimmy yesterday.
Yes.
About where it's going. And it's cooked. But I tried to use it the other day just to get me to write a calendar. And it couldn't even get the dates right. So I don't trust it to do.
What do you mean? You said plan a calendar or something?
Plan a calendar, and then I tried to refine it. I'm like, give me like all the school dates with the school holidays. Give me this with like public holidays. You know what I mean? And it's still...
Really?
Yeah, because it scours the internet.
Yeah.
It's grabbing dates from last year. It's not getting them. And then it's like, I didn't say I'm in Melbourne maybe, so it's pulling public.
So my friend told it the other day. He just bought a 1946 ridiculous Leyland school bus. And he told ChatGPT, I want you to work for me now, but I want you to not look at the internet. I only want you to use the information I give you. And it said, okay. And he fed all of the manuals in, and it totally trouble-solved, shot the problems with it. So I think we need to start telling it not to scour the internet.
Yeah.
Only reference my Google Calendar from this year to this year. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have to be really bossy with it.
We have to tell that.
We have to make it our bitch. Yeah, totally.
But I just, after that, I've tried to use it a couple of things that are basic like that. And I'm like, I give this, like, people like, use it to write your descriptions. I'm like, but then it's just going to come out shit.
But then it all sounds the same as well.
Yeah.
Not just the same as all of your descriptions, but the same as every fucking thing on the internet. And this is what I don't like. People are writing AI books. The whole thing is AI. No.
Yeah.
The whole point of books, music, creativity, art is to find human connection.
Yeah.
Dude, stop with the AI art. Fucking stop doing Studio Ghibli. Fucking stop it.
Yeah.
That guy was so anti. He hand painted all that shit. Disrespectful.
Yeah. No, all that stuff when it makes a little caricature of yourself, I'm like, that's pretty cringe. And then my mate yesterday sent me a Muppet of me. And I'm like, that's pretty funny. I do have Muppet-like features.
Yeah.
And
You liked it.
And
yeah.
I was like, that was
Yeah,
good.
yes.
But I'll show you because
Yes.
he obviously went back and forth and he's like...
Tweaked it a bit. Yeah.
But it's pretty cheesy and tacky when you just see people like, oh, here's an avatar of me made by AI. You're like,
Yeah. No, don't
why?
care.
Like, yeah.
No, don't like it. I also don't want to feed all of my everything into the system, like
It's mostly there.
the more of my writing I put in the system, the more it has. Like, I don't know.
No, but do you use your face to unlock your phone?
Look, I'm not worried about all of that. I've been at protest movements for years. If you've been at any protests in Australia in the last 20 years, ASIO has a file on you. Like,
Really?
Oh, yeah. They've got photographs of all your tattoos.
Oh, right.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, they know
For
everything.
years.
For years.
For years. Dude, people are living in a dreamland if they think Australia is so data heavy.
Yeah.
They have all the data on us down here.
Yeah.
We just give it to them.
I know. Like I said, my son's 5. I had to do like a working with children's thing to go to his kinder.
Yep.
And it's like do a full scan of your face. I get it. It's
Oh,
for
really?
safety of kids. You have to do a full scan of your face, all this sort of shit.
Yes.
Which some of my friends that are just anti giving the government all their information.
Yeah.
Not because I've got anything to hide, just because
No,
I don't
well,
want
I
to.
sort of am. Like, one thing I refuse to do is I will not go to a club that scans my ID.
Yeah.
No.
So you can't go to Revolver.
I haven't been since they have that. No.
Yeah.
No.
I'll give you a heads up.
Oh, yeah.
If you go before 8 o'clock, you don't have to do it.
See, booyah. I'm daytime girl anyway.
You can stay there
I want to be in bed at
afterwards.
9. I want to be during the day, on the dance floor, and then at night I'm going to bed. Yeah.
Can we just have a quick little break?
Yeah,
We've
sure.
done an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It goes.
Yeah, I have no idea.
We were talking about. I know. We were talking about your involvement with the graffiti / street art.
Oh, yeah, back
scene.
then. Back then. And
back
so then, to be honest with you, when I went into music, I kind of put down all the street art stuff for like 15 years.
Yep.
And then it just randomly happened that this job came up as production manager of Frankston Street Art Festival 3 years ago.
Yep.
And I was like, street art. Oh, I do street art stuff, and now I'm a safety officer. Like, that could work,
Yeah, you're ticking some boxes for them.
That's right. And I had an initial chat with my boss, Rebecca Gendron, who's the public art officer. Instant connection. We get along so well. She's a dear friend now, after working together and whatever. And yeah, I love it. It's a really great job. The Frankston, what Frankston does with the arts, and it's next level.
Yeah.
We don't have any councils in the north doing anything like that.
And do you know why? It's because Frankston is embracing it because it wants to. It wants to.
Yep.
Where you've got other inner city councils that are like, we've already got a bit of culture. Just
Yeah, we don't need any more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really sad because, like, the Frankston Arts Centre is this beautiful giant building, and the Darebin Arts Centre, where all the artists live, it's a shithole. It is so bad, and they don't really do anything there. Yeah. And it's on this primo piece of land right on the corner of Bell Street. Could be amazing.
But
it needs a couple of $1 million facelift first.
Right. Al Carlson did do a show there. I know that.
Love him.
Yeah, he did his Strobes Are on the Nose. I believe he did that there, the big puppet show thing. So they do some stuff.
They do, but like for the stuff that I've seen there, it's not them doing it. It's often like a slight partnership or it's a whatever's these. I just mean like the Frankston Arts Centre is activated.
Yeah.
They spend money.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so anyway, that's why I work in Frankston, live in Reservoir. I love it down there. I love Frankston. I actually love Frankston now. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The beach is incredible. There's actually,
There's still a bit of griminess there, which
but I like
gives it
that.
authenticity.
It does. And there's all this serious money down Mornington Peninsula and stuff. So it's this nice cross culture. The people in Frankston are also really fucking friendly. Like the week that I spend down there, I walked 125 Ks in 10 days down there.
Yep.
Just around the CBD, around and round, round and round. People are really nice.
There's some people aren't so much, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but they're usually mentally unwell.
Yeah.
Do you know
I
what
had a
I
guy
mean?
tell him he was going to rape me when I was walking
Jesus.
into a tattoo appointment.
Fuck.
But
During the day.
Yeah, it was like 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I know.
On Young Street.
I know. I had a fire on the street that I rang triple. It was all happening. It was all happening down there. We're like, Frankston is Frankstoning today.
It is, yeah. I didn't get to the Frankston Street Art Festival this year, but I was there last year.
Yeah.
And I was there, I had some mates painting, and it was awesome. Amazing. And I was there because that building where the block party was is no longer there now.
Yes, the smug.
It's been knocked
That's
down,
right.
But I remember being there last year, having a few beers, listening to, Eric play tunes, talking to my mates, and I'm like, I feel like we're in the inner north
Yes.
at that point
Yes,
in time,
yes.
you know, and it really had that vibe about it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, no, I really like it down there. And after this year's 8 murals that we did, there's now 100. There's 100 large-scale murals down there,
Right.
which is crazy.
So
Like,
you're doing it independently now because it was through Big Picture Festival, but now it's just by the council.
That's right. So Big Picture is an external brand that also appears in Newcastle and whatever. And for I think 3 or 4 years, they had Big Picture. But then when the sort of tender came up, like as in that contract ended, and so there was a chance to sort of reassess what the festival was doing. And I actually think what they've done is really smart. Like bringing it in-house and calling it what it is, which is, Frankston Street Art Festival.
Yep.
It really allows even the public to own it even more because it's not traveling around. It's the Frankston Street Art Festival.
Yeah.
You know, and so this year was actually amazing. We actually got, we got on Channel 9 News, we got in The Age, there was a real push. There was a real feel of ownership within council, within the city, because it's our brand now. And it went really well.
Does each year it sort of grow? I'm guessing more businesses are giving up their wall space and that sort of thing, or do you have to push them to do that?
Yeah, there's a bit of both. It depends. We work with Bayside Vicinity, the mall there, and they're very keen and very helpful and very whatever. But we very supportive. But we also just want random other walls that are around. And so, Rebecca works really hard all year to sort of create those relationships and liaisons to get the permission for the walls. I'm not really involved in that part. I'll assess the wall from logistics point of view, but the relationship that she creates with the building owner is kind of the council thing.
Right.
And then I'm brought in to assess. The thing is, sometimes she and they have agreed on a wall, and I come in and I'm like, we're not, that's not possible. We cannot paint that wall.
Because it's too high, it's too...
It's cost prohibitive sometimes to get the machines or the whatever, or it disrupts the public too much.
Yeah, okay.
You know, we can't shut down a 6-story car park for a week to paint a wall.
Yeah.
It's not feasible. So there's this nice, it's a tricky balance of stakeholder plus what the artist is then going to love to paint.
Yeah.
Mixed with how much we disrupt the public because it's in the CBD.
There's a lot of moving pieces.
There's a lot of moving pieces.
And then you've got to get the business might be like, all right, well, I don't want anything like this. And you're like, well, you don't get to approve it.
Yeah, they don't really get to be prescriptive. Sometimes they're like, oh, can you do our business name in our business colors? And we're like, no, this is an art festival.
Yeah.
So we're not going to necessarily paint giant hairy dog balls on your building. Okay. But beyond that, we can't really guarantee. But they do. There is a process where they get a concept and they approve the concept, and there's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are the walls once they're done? Do they get recycled through, or that's something that hasn't happened yet?
Some have.
Right.
Some stay. There's a contracted amount of time that they stay there.
Yep.
But some of them end up looking shabby for various reasons over years, or they get hammered with graph and then it's hard to fix them or whatever.
Yep.
Some artists want their work painted with anti-graffiti coating after, some don't, based on what it does to the colors and all of that. Right. So everyone is a very unique situation. And every year is very different. The artists we have, the curveballs we get, even though it follows a similar formula, we paint walls this certain week. There's always various things,
And you can see the council running with that for the foreseeable future?
I think so. I mean, they're pretty proud of it, and they'd be silly not to be proud of it. I mean, sometimes Rebecca and I walk around and we're like, we've painted every wall. Where are other walls? And then someone's like, what about that wall? And we're like, that wall's a no-go because... or whatever. Yeah. But I think this next year there's some exciting new stuff happening in Frankston. And when exciting new developments or stuff or whatever happens, then there's more ability for us to come in and maybe do some different things.
So aside from that, what else are you doing now? So you're doing your coaching?
So I'm a business coach, which is a little bit tricky right now because no one's starting a business in this current economic climate.
Yep. But people can fix their business.
Well, yeah, and I do still have clients for people who understand that they need to reassess stuff. Like I can save people $50,000 in an hour sometimes. Wow. Yeah, because we get in there,
Do you mean like from from the jump into the zero, jump into your processes, jump into their email and figure out where the problems are?
We just talk. And I go, what are you paying that for? Who's paying that? What are you renting that for? How much does that bring in? What does that do? What's the profit margin on that? And we can refine their offerings, their staffing, or whatever in an hour to save them $50K a year.
And we're talking from hospitality or any business perspective?
Any business,
Right.
any business. I work with construction companies. I also work with individuals who have normal career trajectories, but they're about to make a move. They're in sales, they're in accounting, but they want to go on their own, or they want to do this, or they want to get a raise, or whatever. So generally, it has been more the creative businesses, like whatever that means. So hospitality, art, music, design, like the construction company that I mentioned, they're a set building construction company. They're not building just regular houses. They're doing set building in that sort of niche.
Yep.
But I do sort of HR for these people as well. Like some companies I go into, there's no position descriptions. Everyone does everything. And so I go in and we separate all of that out. We get a chain of command. We get PDs. We get systems and processes. Just depends on what they need, really. Yeah.
You can do it all.
I have an agency as well.
Okay.
So I'm sort of a high-level strategist. I'm also dyslexic, so that's why I talk funny. But I have a creative agency. So I have an agency of freelancers that do websites, branding, all of the other stuff. And we work on projects together. So if I talk to a business owner and he's like, I want Google AdWords, that's not my area of expertise. I put him onto my Google AdWords guy. So we can do everything pretty much. And especially with my networks, like I get people work all the time. I just give people work constantly because, we want to employ all our mates. Like that's my secret theory. If I employed you and you employed him and he employed me, we're good. We don't need the man. Yeah.
Oh, I like that mentality.
Yeah. So that's what I try and do.
So if people want you to get involved with that, how would they find you?
Reality Check is the name of my business. The web address is checkyourself.com.au. But yeah, if you Google my name, Bo Kitty, everything comes up. So Reality Check is my main business. The agency is called The Real Army. We have 10 current web projects up there for you to look at where we have done branding, marketing, copy, web, photos, reels. We've done everything for those websites.
Yep.
So that's therealarmy.com.au, and I called it that because the only other army is the military, and we don't need them where we're going either.
Right.
Like, I really believe that we're the army.
We're changing.
All of us.
Yeah.
We're the army. Yeah. We lead the world. So Reality Check is the coaching with life and business coaching for clients. The Real Army is the agency that makes the stuff happen. And yeah, my new direction, which I am literally about to announce next week, is that I'm going into real estate consulting as part of Reality Check.
Yep.
Because housing market's fucked.
Yep.
And I'm 45 and I'm in this nice sweet spot age-wise where my mid-30s friends are looking to buy for the first time and my mid-50s friends are about to inherit family homes. And so we're in this nice period where everyone's a potential client, really.
Yep.
And real estate agents are fucking assholes. No one trusts them.
Yeah.
And my reputation is literally that I'm very honest and very direct and I operate with a high level of integrity, which is why some festival promoters don't like working with me.
Right.
Because
no bullshit.
That's right. And so that is going to bode well in the real estate world.
Yeah, because we have a unique real estate setup here in Australia where we still have auctions sometimes, which I think is sort of petering out in a downward trending market.
Yep.
We don't have a whole lot of buyer advocacy stuff, which they do have in other countries.
Yes.
We also have a whole lot of blurry lines of this is the price bracket. A lot of countries, it's like,
shit.
it's
Yeah.
900 grand. That's how
right.
much it is. Do you want to negotiate? Maybe you can.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
So the real estate space is very strange in Australia, very different to a lot of the rest of the world.
Yes, it is. And as I said earlier, we're almost a blueprint for what not to do now.
Yeah.
We've built no public housing in the last 40 years. The public housing we have is falling into the ground, which is why they're going to justify pulling down all of those towers where everybody actually lives in the primo real estate areas like East Melbourne and Flemington and all of that.
Yeah, South Yarra, they're doing it, yeah.
Right. And then where are they going to put those people? What are they going to build? They're going to build it out at fucking Tarneat where no one fucking lives and there's no supermarkets and no schools. Like, we have cooked it, and this is why I'm very passionate about helping my friends navigate. The other thing is, it's a very gatekeepy world. It's the real estate and investing. It's the world of the rich. If you've come from a low socioeconomic background or you've come from a more creative family, you don't know any of that shit. None of it. I didn't learn any of it. I've self-taught everything, you know? And some of my friends, they just honestly think they're locked out and they're not. You know, because once you get that loan, your mortgage goes down over time and your rent only going up. You know, so it's just like you have to jump through a million holes to get that loan, and then they don't really care what you do as long as you pay it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm refinancing at the moment, so I know about all that. Put it on paper.
Yep.
Once you get the money,
Yep.
just keep paying it.
That's right.
They don't care.
So refinancing, you're definitely talking to brokers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like doing it yourself, they laughed at me. When I went in the bank as a single female freelancer, they laughed in my face. I had 80 grand in the bank, they laughed in my face. Go through a broker, they take you seriously.
Yeah.
So I encourage everyone. They're like, oh, brokers, you have to pay them. I'm like, you don't even pay them. You don't pay brokers. People don't even know how it works.
Yeah, the bank pays them.
The bank pays them.
Yeah. But the thing is with a broker, and I'll be an advocate for a broker, I can just be honest with them.
That's right.
Right? I'll be like, well, look, I've got this. I've actually got some money in crypto. I've got a bit of this.
Right.
And they go, all right, well, they want to see this. So let's put this on paper.
Right.
And the rest of it, don't worry about it.
That's right. And also, it's within their interest to get you something that you will keep.
They get paid nothing. They're not going to spend 2 months working with you, getting everything sorted to not get you the loan because then they don't make any money.
That's right. But also, if they get you a loan just to make the sale and a year later you assess with your family that's not the right loan for you, they're fucked. Yeah. They want you to keep that loan for as long as possible because they get paid residually every year from it. So even this conversation we're having now, massively educating people that have never had a loan.
Yeah.
Because they don't really understand how mortgage broking works. And this is some of the things I'm going to go on live video and talk about on social soon.
For sure. Well, like, I haven't had a credit card for 15 years or whatever. Right?
Yeah, high five.
Yeah.
Woo!
But see, that's like even with a credit card, right?
Yeah.
Like my partner had one and it was like $1,500. They look at that
debt.
Like it's debt.
Correct.
Even if you don't have it.
Correct. Afterpay, $3,000 of debt.
Right. Okay. Yeah. See, I don't have that either.
Yeah.
Okay.
$3,000 of debt.
See that all that stuff and like
Hex debt.
Yeah, it's all debt.
Yes.
Yeah. See, and this is the thing people don't understand. I think at one stage I had a credit card that I think was 20 grand. I didn't use it.
Yeah, but you still had 20 grand debt.
Yeah. So they look at it, and then when I bought my first place, I'm like, no, well, you piss that off. It's just bringing me down.
Absolutely.
What do you need it for?
Nah.
There was once upon a time when you needed that because the debit cards didn't work the same as a credit card.
That's right.
That's long gone.
It's gone. You're right.
Personal loans, the worst thing you could ever
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and car loans.
Yes.
Sorry, unless you're in a high salary paying job and it's all blah, 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 don't buy a new car, friends.
No. No,
like totally. on a car plan, on a loan. Yeah. Buy it with cash, motherfucker.
Buy it with cash. There are, from a business standpoint though, like I think when I bought a car got it brand new with a loan, and you got like a $10,000 cash break straight away. So there are perks
as
to
part
doing
of a business. Yes.
There is ways to do it.
Yes.
As an individual, having a personal loan for a car is probably one of the worst things.
It's like the interest is like 20-something%.
Yeah.
It's so high.
Yeah.
And then where everyone's complaining about 6% mortgage rate, it's like you're paying 22% on that. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do with that is just consolidate it into one mortgage. If you can get a car loan and you want to borrow money to get a car, you can get a car loan on 6%, then that's better.
Yes. But then there's also this thing, I don't know if you know Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the book, but there's that thing of like what's an asset, what's a liability.
Yep.
And people think that a car is an asset, right? But it's not, because the minute you buy that car, it's worth the most it's ever going to be worth, unless it's like a 1960 Thunderbird or whatever, which no one's really... Oh, have you got one?
I can show you one in a minute.
Hot. I love them. Love that. But that might be an asset, right? Because it might appreciate.
Yeah.
Any regular car that you're buying, it is worth 30% less when you drive it off the lot.
100%.
And so that is a liability. Plus, it's a piece of metal that you are hurling through the streets about to smash into things. Like, all that is a liability, really. Yeah. You know, whereas, you know, and a house can be a liability too if it's falling into the ground and you don't have the money to maintain it. Yep. But most houses are assets because they do appreciate over time.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we've seen, like, if you break down my personal scenario, I bought 3 years ago, probably the peak of the market, and it goes down, right?
Yep.
Now, that's a problem if I sell it.
If you sell at
now.
that's right.
If I hold on to it for another 20 years, it's probably doubled.
That's right.
So you got to not panic sell.
Yes.
And people make this mistake I've seen it because people my age have been in the housing market 5-10 years. Whatever.
Yes, yes.
My friends, people are like, oh, my house is worth 200 grand less than what I bought it for. I bought it for 1.2. Now it's worth $1 million. Like, what are you looking at the numbers for? Do you intend to sell it? No.
Yeah.
Well, then just keep
Don't even
paying
worry
your
about
mortgage
it.
and fucking forget about it.
That's right. Absolutely. You know, and the stock market's the same. Like right now, tanking, everything tanking. Don't sell. Just hold. Just wait. You know, like
if you can ride it out.
That's right. You know,
People
and
panic, man. Like
I know. Well, look, I'm invested in crypto as well. I've been invested since 2017. I got really excited around 2020, put a whole lot of money in the market. I probably made 20, lost 20. Just recently, I've been divesting everything as it turns green. I'm out. And the other day, I actually sold $10,000 worth of dust just to have some offsets in my tax account. And the only thing I'm holding now is a big bag of Bitcoin. And that's the only thing I'm willing to hold.
Right.
But part of me is like, gee, I could sell that Bitcoin, I could pay the mortgage, and mentally that'd be really good. But I still have the faith that we're going somewhere, you know. And
I don't even know how to sort of like I don't even know how to take it out because I do, but like you're gonna get taxed on all that now.
you are, and that's why you need tax offsets, like selling at a loss, right? So if you sell at a loss, that offsets any gains that you make.
Yeah.
And they roll over. Your losses roll over year after year.
You need a good tax accountant, though, don't you?
Not really. Like, I am fucking terrible at tax, and I'm telling you this. So I'm not an accountant. You know, I just know this from helping people. I help people who have 12 years of tax outstanding. I help them get jiggy. I do. Because they need someone to hold their hand and just understand how to get legit.
This is the thing that happens, right? And I hate paperwork and all that sort of shit. It becomes overwhelming.
That's right. And the more you don't do it, the more overwhelming it is.
And that happens. People go, I haven't done my tax, and they're going to find me, and then they don't do it the next year, and then it gets to June, and they freak out again.
That's right.
But the best thing you can do is just fucking push through,
Yes.
grit your teeth, and do it.
Yep.
You'll feel better. You might have to pay the ATO a balance.
Yeah.
But they're going to get you eventually.
That's right. And also, you can make that balance on a payment plan that doesn't wreck your life or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, not mentioning any names, but a dear friend of mine dissolved his company finally 11 years later. And if you have a giant tax bill and you dissolve your company, they write it off after 10 years.
Wow.
So he got nearly 200 grand GST wiped.
Just by jumping around, not answering the phone and stuff.
I mean, yeah, they kick the can down the road long enough.
Yeah.
So there's loopholes. This is what all of us weirdos, need to know about, because rich businessmen,
they do.
They know this stuff.
Yeah, I know. When I tell people these little tricks that I've learned along the way, they're like, "Oh, that's pretty dodgy." I'm like, "You think that?"
No,
that
it's not.
guy who
That's how that guy operates.
Yeah.
That's how he got rich.
Yeah, people say that to me. They
I
go,
know.
That sounds a bit dodgy. I'm like, dude, you think that people that own multiple houses aren't exploiting every tax loophole that there possibly is?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And so this is where it's like, I want to make this knowledge accessible to those of us that haven't grown up in those circles.
Yep.
Things like, the funny thing is, like, the whole buying multiple properties, the bottom's starting to fall out of that with new land tax.
Which because they're trying to counteract when they made the what's it called?
Negative gearing.
Negative gearing. They brought that in to boost the market.
Yeah.
Then
Now
they've
they fucked
realised
it.
all the boomers own all the houses.
That's right.
And they're like, okay, so now they're trying to counteract that.
That's right. And I'm all for it. I am. I'm all for it. I don't want landlords. I want every motherfucker to own a home.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it is housing is a human right. I truly believe that, and I've spent the last 2 years volunteering in an NGO around community land trusts. Like, I've been researching the market since I was 16 and booted out of home. Like, it has been my lifelong goal to own a home so that I am not ever turfed out on the streets again. And, I just will say that, one of the first women, like, this generation is one of the first generations of women to do that, to be able to own a house on our own without the help of a man, and it's a really, it's quite confronting, because the biggest growing population of homelessness in Australia is women over 55 right now.
Right. And that's the other thing. Like, I don't want to be someone who preaches buying a house, because I know that's not everyone can do it.
No.
But at the end of the day, where are you going to rent? You're going to have to work forever if you rent forever.
Yeah.
That's the scary
But also,
thing.
there's no more rentals, and they're not sustainable, and you can't pay for them on the dole as well.
Yeah.
And so this is where, the help to buy scheme that they're about to bring in, I'm fucking for it, mate.
You like it? You've looked into it?
Well, look, This is what we said about the levers, right? You push one lever, the other side of the seesaw goes up, right? So yes, it will put pressure on demand, but we need to fucking build houses as well. Australia needs to build houses, like now, like yesterday. We need to build social housing, like immediately. And if we do, then those programs will work.
So so I haven't looked into that too much, but I think you can, if you've got 2%, I think they'll lend you or the government will own us like
25%. So government owns 25%.
Right.
You need a 2% deposit instead of 30%.
But you're talking like, say the average house price for a low end here is going to be 700 grand, right?
Yeah.
And that's
very low.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So you're 700 grand, you need 2% of that. What's that? $14,000.
Yep.
Right? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so most people could save 14 grand at some stage.
Or maybe borrow a bit off some parents or whatever. But the thing is, what they've just done, which is going to make it actually feasibly work, is that they've increased the amount that you can be earning.
Yeah.
They've also increased the amount you can spend on the house.
Right.
To be more in line with the fucking median value of houses in places. So it's not the same number in Sydney as it is here, as it is in Brisbane. It's based on the median house value.
Right.
But the 25% is the same. So say you're the government and you're the 25% and I'm the homeowner, right? As the house goes up in property, their portion stays the same. Yep. So if you decide to sell 5 years later, they're getting 25% of whatever you sell for.
Can you buy them out?
Yes, you can buy them out. There's caveats on how quickly and how you buy them out, but you can buy them out. You can pay it off over time.
Because I'd imagine you just wait 5 years till the refinance, then you've got it all.
I don't think you can do it with refinancing, no, because they still own 25% of the house value at that time. Right? But the fact that they've increased the cap on what you can earn and they've increased the median means that it's now actually feasible. Before it was a fake carrot as well. It was a fake carrot.
Yeah.
The amount that you could buy to, there was no houses for fucking sale for that amount.
No,
and so it was like, this is a fake carrot.
It was.
This is what I don't like about government policy. Make it work. When the rubber hits the road is when it works. Before that, it's just lip service, Yeah.
But that is interesting, and at least they're trying something. But all they're trying to do is really undo the bad mistakes they made with.
Mate, it's going to take 3 generations to undo it. I'm so sorry, but the Barefoot Investor. Don't know if you know him.
I've read a little bit of it.
Love him because he's one of the only Aussies doing this shit.
What's his name? Tim Pope?
No, that's not him. What is his name? No, I don't know. Okay. I just call him the Barefoot Investor. Anyway, he's got kids. He's got little kids. And the other day he told his little boy, but pretty much our generation's kids, they're going to be paying off this $1 trillion of debt that we have. Like, that's the reality, and we have cooked it. Our parents cooked it. That generation of government have cooked it. We've been handed a bit of a shit sandwich. Some of us have managed to scrape our way through. Some of my friends will not be able to. Those are the friends I really want to help.
Yeah.
I don't want to help people. I'm not going into real estate to help people become property moguls.
No. But I think, and the way that they've changed that tax law is making it less and less.
It is.
It can be counterproductive at some stages because the greedy landlords, instead of going, all right, this is becoming too hard, we've got to sell this thing, they're going, we just increase the rent. And that tax gets passed on to the tenant, which is not what it was intended for. No, absolutely not. And it's a really rough deal for tenants right now. And I have people who love their property portfolio and tell me about how fucked it is for landlords, and I keep very quiet because I'm like, nah, I'm happy about all this. People that say, oh, look, this land tax is killing me, I've got 2 investment properties, like, fuck, man, give us a break.
Yeah.
Like, everyone needs a house. If you chose to invest in another house, then you chose to invest in it. There's no gap. People thought the property market was this never-ending thing that was going to go up, right? If you invested in crypto, if you invested in stocks, if you invested in a business, you invested in anything, it's not going to just trend up. You might lose all your shit.
That's right.
So if you've got to pay tax on your gains, don't cry to me.
Absolutely. And it was the Barefoot Investor. I've been following his shit for years. Some clients, I tell them the first thing that you're doing after this session is you're going to Kmart and you're buying the Barefoot Investor because they need to get financially literate. It's time to get financially literate. If you're in your 30s and 40s, get literate. Like, it's time. you know, and the whole like date thing, like with your partner and having open discussions about money, like money breaks so many couples up, you know? And so anyway, I really love what he sort of preaches. Some of it's not relevant to me because I'm freelance. And so I don't have a nice regular salary to do all of the things that he says to do. But you just pick and choose. It's like religion for me. I pick and choose what I like from wherever, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, he's the one who said, like, don't buy a house, put it in the stock market because you can't sell a bathroom. You can't sell just a bathroom when something tanks. You've got to sell the whole house, you know?
Right. So he's not an advocate for home ownership, or he just...
He's not an advocate for property mogulship.
Okay.
No.
So he's saying once you own your house, or once you've got that in the process, invest in different things.
Totally.
Right.
Diversify, whether it's business or stocks or whatever's relevant to you. And one thing I talk about with my non-financial advisory clients that I give financial advice to, lol, is I talk about the spectrum of risk. Right? We've all got a different risk tolerance. Like, I don't gamble, but I have cryptos. Do you know what I mean?
That's a gamble in itself.
It is. But, like, for me, it's a calculated gamble. And so there's a spectrum of risk over here where this person's taking very high risk for very high reward, and these people are not able to do that. And so it's really important to work out where you sit on that spectrum.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just what you feel in your mind and heart or whatever. It's like, for me personally, I have no family. I have no backup. I don't have a partner right now. Like, ain't no one else. So my risk tolerance is lower, you know?
Yeah. And that is, for some people that might have not been financially great in the early stages of their lives.
Yeah.
And you might be looking at, 45, 50. I would believe that they probably should put a bit of money into the crypto thing, go in the higher risk stuff, because you don't know.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a whole lot to lose, well, you may as
Totally.
well roll the dice.
But also, they're better off doing that than buying a fucking lotto ticket.
Yeah.
Like, that is rigged against you. Do you know what I'm saying? I see the oldies on pension day at the post office. They're all buying lotto tickets. And I'm like, buy Bitcoin. Don't buy lotto. Buy Bitcoin.
Or buy some meme coin that could go 50x, you know what I mean?
Oh, I don't know about meme coins, yeah.
I don't, but I'm like, I'm not into that side of it.
Yeah.
But if I had nothing behind me, I didn't have a mortgage or whatever,
Yes.
and I was at this age, I'd be like, all right,
Yeah.
clock's ticking.
$20 on dog with hat.
Yeah, exactly. Or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's talk about, as we kind of, we've been doing it for a while. We're kind of getting close to wrapping it up. Let's talk a bit more about the book and how people can get the book and what else you're doing around that, man.
Sure. Well, the book is for anyone who needs a push to do something amazing, really. Like, this is my story of overcoming. It's also a lot of travels to places where I've nearly died. And I've come back to tell the story. I've done some risky travel in my life.
Do people think that it's somewhat food related from the title?
They do sometimes, yes. But it's a life philosophy. Always eat the weird stuff. It's about actually saying yes to things and taking risks, you know. I did go and speak at Dimmock's Turak at the Rivoli Cinema in Camberwell the other night. Not my audience.
No.
Not my audience. I was very much looking forward to coming on this podcast because I feel like, even though this is primarily like a music, art, graffiti-based sort of underground, you're my people.
Yeah.
Whereas the boomer readers of Camberwell, not my people.
No.
And do you know what's so interesting? I did a talk at Frankston Library. They were all boomers. They were my people.
Yeah.
So it's not age.
It's a working class thing.
Yeah, I don't fit into... I think it's not just the not wealth. It's the fact that I'm so direct and honest about trauma and all these things that we don't talk about in high society.
No.
We push it under the rug in high society. We've all got bastard children. We just hide them, Whereas out here in the fucking real world, Joe's got 3 kids to sue and blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? It's like... They're sort of fascinated with me, but they're not warm to me. They're like a bit like, woo, here she is, porn star name, and I sold 3 books that night.
Well, it's better than none.
I mean, it is, but there was 80 people there, and there was lines up for the other books.
Yeah.
And I think I was just a bit too weird,
Because your market isn't that, really.
No, my market is people breaking generational trauma curses. My market is people taking risks and people who've hung in the underground and, people who have overcome some massive shit to create amazing stuff, like who've really bucked the trend of what life was supposed to be for them.
Yeah.
That's my market, and...
Because that book is so autobiographical, where do you go from there? You can't just write another one straight away.
I would never write another biography, I don't think. This was about healing from the family trauma situation. But I do actually have the idea for the next book. I'm a bit terrified about it. It won't leave me alone.
Fictional?
No.
Okay.
It'll be essays again. Like, this is 92 short chapters. Some of these chapters did appear on social media. This is also not a nice novel narrative. Like, you could pick this up on any page and read it and it'll make sense.
Yep.
Obviously, the main protagonist is moi, because it's about my life. But the next book is for the rest of the world.
Okay.
The next book, this one was very me, about me. The next one's for community. I'm a big community builder.
Yep.
And we're about to enter a shitstorm.
You think, yeah.
Oh, we are already in one.
Politically or financially or?
All of the above.
All of it.
Societally, emotionally, economically, creatively, artistically. Like, AI is going to fuck us.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so 50% unemployment in 10 years is what the prediction is. 50% of the world unemployed. What are we going to do when work is not our purpose anymore? We're going to be fucked. So we need to start thinking about this now.
Yeah, it needs to be legislated quickly. And I think
No one's doing it.
I know. I was talking to Jimmy about this yesterday and he's like, they're going to have to, and I'm like, but it's like, look at social media, right? It was the Wild West out there for so long. People would say whatever they wanted. Nothing was what's it called? Like censored.
Tempered or censored.
People were saying horrible things to each other. They were sharing things they shouldn't have been. It all happened. It took a long time for them to go, hang on, you need to have a license to do that. The legislation to patrol that, it took a long time.
Yes.
And I think
it was too late.
It was too late. Yeah,
and it's still the same thing.
So I think with this, it's already too late.
It is. Neither of our major parties for this new election that we're about to have, they've said not a beep, not one word. No one's willing. I put a big post up about the complexities of AI the other day. Tumbleweeds. No one could even interact with it. They're not ready. They're not fucking ready for the conversation.
And it's not going anywhere.
No, it's not. So I've been doing a lot of research because my new book is going to be about this shitstorm we're in. It is. It's about how to get through this shitstorm we're in. That's all I can really say at this point because I haven't written it. But yeah, this is about to be out on all audio platforms.
And it's on Spotify now.
It's on Spotify now. It's on Apple now. It's on Google now, but it's not on Audible yet. It's coming in the next couple of weeks. You can buy this from my website, BoKitty.com. You can see all the events that I've worked over the last 30 years on BoKitty.com, and anything else is on Reality Check or The Real Army. But yeah, if you go to BoKitty.com, all of those links are there. And yeah, I'm just really keen to have more amazing conversations with people, whether it's about ethics, politics. It doesn't always have to be about me. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could have sat down here today and done an hour on...
Yeah. I'd love you to come back in a couple of months. And we don't have to talk about your stuff. We can talk about where we're at. Maybe the interest rate's gone down. Maybe that government thing. Yeah, and just talk about all this other shit.
But like maybe we like decide what we're going to educate people on and you bring some stuff to the table. Like this is what I love doing. This is my purpose to be here, you know? So yeah, I love the opportunity to promote what I do, but also I'm just about making new audiences, learn new things, you know? Helping people, yeah. I'm a helper.
Leaving the planet better than you arrived.
Absolutely. Yeah, which is why, you know, happily child-free, because I have lots of other babies, lots of creative babies all over. Babies.
On that note, I think it's a great way to wrap it up, Bo Kitty.
Amazing.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much for having me, Melanie.
Cheers.
Awesome.